I was rewatching some parts in the original Sinister today, and I forgot how great that movie was, how disturbing, how unsettling it all felt. Most of all, subtle. You see, the original Sinister is completely underrated in my eyes. It has amazing build-up tension, unsettlement, and subtlety. That is one of the things that makes a good horror movie. It's one of those movies where the soundtrack is good, the acting is good, and the story is fairly done well. And it's also one of those movies that with everything combined together, you get this like subtle masterpiece of terror. And I loved it. It's one of those movies, I never really get scared by horror movies anymore unless something really sticks out. And one of the things that made me the most unsettled in that movie was the snuff scenes. Every time those snuff scenes come on, with that music on top of it, this Akira Yamaoka-esque, droning music, I love it. But I also hate it. I don't hate it in a bad way. I hate it because it terrifies the crap out of me. And it's also one of the major parts why I love it, if any of that makes sense whatsoever. That shows a good horror movie. So why does Sinister 2 have to be as bad as it is? So, Sinister 1, again, was this masterpiece of unsettling terror. It has jump scares, yes, and the kids weren't as scary. Bagul wasn't as scary. But the pagan thing and the evil concept was really good. The true crime writer moving into a house with his family, it felt believable. And it has supernatural elements, sure, but just the whole entire film way through, you feel like this may happen if supernatural things do exist. Some of us hardly even know. Some of us do experience stuff like that, not as, extreme as in a movie. But then again, anything can happen, and that's one of the best things of horror, because you don't expect it, and it doesn't always have to be a jump scare. It can be subtle. It can trudge its way to you and then get you. And I like that. Sinister 2 is terrible. Let me describe one of the first scenes in that movie. The mother goes into a supermarket with her kids. She looks nervous. She wants to get in and out of there as much as possible. She even tells the kids we have to get in and out of there as much as possible. And then she feels like she's being watched, and then she's chased by some guy in a suit, and then she goes outside, and then the guy sees her, going away, and so he pulls out this damn walkie-talkie thing, and then he talks into it, and he's like, "They're gone. They just left the supermarket." Which makes me instantly think that the government or the cops have something to do with this Bagul business. And that tore apart the movie almost immediately for me. Why does the government have to be involved in Sinister? And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, the government's involved, and you can't trust anybody. There could be a cult leader coming around somewhere, pop out of the trash can with a knife, then you're dead. Or Bagul comes out and, jump scare. And that's about it in this movie, just a bunch of jump scares. And there's hardly any horror. And whenever there is horror, it's a bit subtle. A bit. But it kind of relies on jump scares. And the story is trash. The acting is trash, for the most part. Especially coming from Deputy So-and-so, which is one of the main reasons why I wanted to watch this movie to begin with, other than, it's a sequel to Sinister. And the horror is not good. The subtlety is almost destroyed. All that's left is jump scares. It's kind of like the new Insidious movies. I really like the first few, and I like some of the spin-off movies. But the later movies and modern horror movies now involving ghosts, they always do the same thing. For example, a little girl in the 50s. She's in her bed, a big giant-ass Tim Burton bed, with a big giant-ass wooden room that's kind of dusty. I don't know why they don't dust, but they don't. And she has a red ball. For some reason, in a dark room, her and the red ball can be seen at the same time. She throws the red ball accidentally out of the bed, and then it bounces toward the wall, and then it bounces toward the closet. And then the closet slowly opens, and then the music kind of amps up, and then stops. It focuses on the girl, focuses on the closet, focuses on the girl, focuses on the closet, focuses on the girl, focuses on the closet, and then bad CGI ghost comes out. And that's supposed to scare me. That's supposed to make me think that if a film is full of that it's all of a sudden a really scary, good movie. It's got to have a good plot. It's got to have good acting. And even with those intact, you got to have good scares. And you got to have good subtlety to it. And they hardly have that anymore, which is unfortunate. I like a horror movie that has, let's say, a guy's walking down the street, right? And, the scene is supposed to be like, he left a place and, he's going home. You're not expecting any horror yet, but it is night. And slowly, it's so slow. You're expecting jump scares. You're expecting seeing something in the distance, but you don't. Not yet. And you just focus on him walking down a thing. He's on his phone, and he continuously talks. And then you start slowly see someone appearing in the distance, walking toward him. And the scene never breaks from that. It never goes dun 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 none of that. It's quiet. But you can see a person in the background. But the scene never breaks. He's still talking on his phone as if the scene has never left. And it's one of those things of like, it has a cliche, yes, of like, dude, turn around, look behind you. But it feels a lot more unsettling knowing that there's something there and it doesn't have to jump scare you to get your attention. Jeepers Creepers, one of the very first scenes, even though the director is such a dirtbag, one of the first scenes was Derry and Trish were in the car, they're playing their sign game, and then you see a car in the very, very back of their windshield. You don't pay attention to it because you think it's another car on the road, and then it comes closer and closer and closer as they're talking for like a minute and two. And then the truck comes by and starts honking. That is awesome. I love that. It doesn't have to come up out of nowhere. You can just kind of see it coming and be like, okay, that thing's getting close. Then it comes. And then there's another scene where Derry's in the underground church, and the thing drips on his leg, and he tries to get he tries to tie his shoe, and he puts the flashlight underneath his arm, and then you see some dead bodies in the thing, but it doesn't appear that way yet. It's slowly appearing itself to you. And you're like, what the fuck? It's on the walls and everything. What is that? Is that bodies? And then he slowly, turns, looks up, and then the scene builds and builds and builds until you see a whole entire, thing of bodies. That is awesome. Jacob's Ladder does jump scares and subtlety really good. More subtlety than ever. And throws a lot of disturbing imagery your way, especially when it's without music, and that is so awesome. And whenever it does do the jump scares, it tries its best to put you in this panic state instead of being like, I'm done. That makes a damn good movie. And I love Jacob's Ladder so much. It built Silent Hill, and it's one of the reasons why... Silent Hill is one of the reasons why I love Jacob's Ladder, and it's one of those reasons why I love subtle horror. That makes me happy. I've gone way off topic, but I wanted to show to you that good horror comes from brain power and thinking. The original Dracula didn't have any music. They didn't really have the chance to make music for it. But it's still subtly scary. Nosferatu is subtly scary. White Zombie is subtly scary. Those are old films. What do we do now? Ghost. Do we stop it with a curse? Holy shit, my brother is floating. I believe there's a ghost in the house now. But then a scene or two later, I'm not going to believe him anymore. And then I see it again, and then I believe it. Then a priest comes, they bring it cursed and blah, blah, blah. Bad stuff. Bad stuff. Sinister 2 does not need to be as bad as it is. That's like a money cash grab thing I've ever seen in my life. If they want to make a part 3, they gotta get off their ass, build some passion to it, and make it subtle again. Build a good story, build good characters, build good acting, and make something that will really scare you. That is the beauty of terror.